The Jewish Agency released its annual report on world anti-Semitism, and it's clear that there are haters out there. Here to talk about the report is Amos Hermon, head of the Jewish Agency's task force on anti-Semitism. Amos, thanks for coming in this evening.
Thank you.
What were the most prominent findings of this year's report?
We have to say that after the cast-lead operation in Gaza, the year of 2009 was a record year as far as anti-Semitism events, as far as from the quality and from the quantity point of view, since we used to record after those incidents since the Second World War. Hundreds of incidents, demonstrations of millions that we all were witnesses to in Istanbul, London, Berlin, Paris, and we are very, very concerned from this kind of events. And as far as we understand, for years there is a direct connection between the level of the conflict here in the Middle East to the flames of anti-Semitism all over the world.
Is there anything in the report that jumped out at you in particular?
Yes, first of all, after years of somehow of calm, mainly in France, Great Britain and United States, the combination between the Islamic community and the left radical parties and leaders have become the main issue of anti-Semitism. For France, for example, after a lot of talks with French Parliament, we are realized that more and more influence. We assume that there are between 7 to 9 million Muslims, and they become a factor in the electoral campaign of those parliaments members. And we understand them from political point of view, but we will not be able to accomplish and to understand such of anti-Semitism from this side toward the Jewish communities.
Now, this Wednesday is the UN Holocaust Remembrance Day, commemorating the liberation of Auschwitz. It's supposed to be marked around the world as a day of combating anti-Semitism, yet for 5 years now since they instituted this Day of Remembrance in the UN, we've seen a rise in anti-Semitism. Why is it not working?
I don't know to tell you exactly why it's not working, but I have to tell you that on the same coin, many countries, more than 10 countries, has got a setup of laws and enforcement of fighting anti-Semitism. And till the cast-lead operation in Gaza, we have seen since 2006, in 2007 and 2008, some kind of slow in the anti-Semitism events. But let's take, for example, South America. South America, we are witnessing to more and more left regime. For example, Argentina, Brazil, and in the last 2 weeks, Uruguay. And think about the left-wing parties. With some of the leaders are purely Marxist. A combination of those ideology and the influence of Ahmadinejad from Iran, who are coming there on a daily basis. These kind of things that are trying to bring more and more anti-Semitism events and example to those countries that never happened in the last 10 or 20 years.
Are there countries that Jews should avoid traveling to? I can remember just a year or two ago, Jews were warned that if you have a Star of David around your neck, you should hide it inside your shirt. If you wear a kippah, you should wear a baseball cap instead.
Unfortunately, in many countries, we don't use to warn any Jews and any individual. But we know from the rabbis, we know from the leaders of the Jewish community that in some times they used to warn their own community, their own congregation. Listen, guys, you shouldn't be aware, Magen David, or wear a beard or a kippah and stuff like that. And unfortunately, even now, we know in some countries, in some communities, and more Jews are warned by their own leaders, listen guys, this is not the time to do it. You can come to the schools, you can come to the synagogues and behave like Jews, but don't do it in the streets, don't do it in the metro or any public events.
At today's cabinet meeting, it was decided that they would establish an inter-ministerial task force to fight anti-Semitism in other countries. How successful are they going to be? How are they going to do that?
First of all, let me tell you that the most important thing is the coordination between hundreds of Jewish and non-Jewish organizations which dealing with fighting anti-Semitism. It's not only the Ministry of the States of Israel and the Jewish Agency and other, and I think the best example is Durban B, which took place in Geneva in April this year. After learning the lessons of Durban 1, which took place in Durban, South Africa in 2001, I think that our response was a fantastic one. We have made, on the same time, a parallel Congress, an alternative Congress to the UN official one. And I have to tell you that the vast majority of the Western European media came and listened to our own people, to the refugees which we brought from Rwanda, Sudan, the Baha'i minority, etc., etc. The coordination between all those organizations, all those communities, all those NGOs will be the best answers to the common efforts which we are doing in order to fight anti-Semitism.
Mr. Ramon, head of the Jewish Agency Task Force on Anti-Semitism. Sounds like we still have a long way to go. Thanks, Amos.
Thank you.